Over first to our top story coming in from Gujarat. Well, the high drama in Gujarat ended with Ahmad Patel winning the prestigious battle against the BJP as he retains his Raj Sabha seat for the 5th consecutive term. Now, as Sonia Gandhi's political advisor, Ahmad Patel manages to win his seat by just a whisker. The intra-party tussle between the Congress's old guards and the new guards continues. On one hand, Rahul Gandhi wants to wrest control of the Congress party with his young Turks, while Sonia Gandhi prefers the veteran leaders to manage the communications and to form election strategies. Rahul Gandhi's visits with the Chinese ambassador, remember, had invited criticism from the BJP, leading to embarrassment for senior Congress leaders who earlier denied any such meeting. Now it is for the Congress party to either draw clarity in terms of communications and decision-making, or else the intra-party tussle may turn into a cold war between the Congress old guns and the young Turks.
काफी बड़ा था, काफी मेहनत करनी पड़ी। मैं सबका आभारी हूँ इसके लिए जो चुनाव में विजय उसके लिए। पार्टी अपने तरीके से जो भी कार्रवाई करनी है करेगी। बिल्कुल राहुल जी के नेतृत्व में कांग्रेस मजबूत होकर बाहर आएगी और हम लोग चुनाव जीतेंगे।
कांग्रेस पार्टी स्पॉन्सर्ड कैंडिडेट अहमद पटेल ने 4,400 वोट लिया है, उसके खाते में है और उसको मैं डिक्लेयर इलेक्टेड करता हूं। दूसरा, बीजेपी स्पॉन्सर कैंडिडेट शाह अमित भाई अनिल चंद्र, उन्होंने 4,600 वोट पोल्ड किया है, उसको भी मैं डिक्लेयर इलेक्टेड करता हूं। तीसरी सीट के लिए बीजेपी स्पॉन्सर्ड श्रीमती स्मृति जुबी निरानी, उन्होंने भी 4,600 वोट पोल्ड किया है, उसको भी मैं डिक्लेयर इलेक्टेड करता हूं।
चुनाव आयोग का ये डिसीजन से हम सम्मत नहीं है। आने वाले दिन में हम कानूनी लड़ाई लड़ेंगे और न्याय पाएंगे। ये गलत बात है, गलत इल्जाम है। कोई मनी मसल्स का उपयोग नहीं हुआ है। ये कांग्रेस इंटरनल इतनी फफड़ गई है और इनका इंटरनल इतना झगड़ा है और नेतागिरी के प्रति इतना रोष है, तो इनके कारण ये है। और जिस तरीके से 10 दिन तक सभी को कैंप में रखा, पूर्व जिस तरीके से उनको वहां एक जेल में रखा है, तो ये करना पड़ा। इसका मतलब यही है कि कांग्रेस की स्थिति खराब थी।
And joining us this morning on this broadcast is BJP spokesperson Mr. Vaibhav Aggarwal. Now, despite the odds, the Smriti Irani and Amit Shah have of course managed to make it, but so has Ahmad Patel.
Really, because I don't think he's really made it. It's more of showing how desperate Congress can get for one seat and resort to anything and everything in their arsenal to actually get that seat for Ahmed Bhai. Of course, congratulations are in order for him to have grabbed the seat. However, I wouldn't definitely call it a win.
Now, for the first time, we saw this renewed vigor in the Congress. They went all out. They got their top guns to the Election Commission to ensure that the EC rules in their favor. What do you feel about this renewed vigor?
Well, I think it's the last batch of Congress trying to salvage its image in the state, which is election bound towards the end of the year. And let's not forget there are elections in Himachal as well towards the end of the year. And Congress is struggling hard to protect its image in terms of saying that, hey, our flock is together, don't worry, we're not broken people, we're not a team without a head, we're not running away from our commitment to the people, and so on and so forth. But it is a clear attempt to show that they're really desperate for the struggle for survival.
Right, let's listen now to how the Congress has responded.
Mr. Ahmad Patel has won with the blessings of the people, the citizens of this country, the angels who sit on top, and Allah himself who has blessed him. So, inshallah ta'ala, everything has gone well, and God willing, yes, we are going to look into the reduced margins and to see how to set things right. But
सुप्रीम कोर्ट के अनेक निर्णय हैं ये असंवैधानिक है, गलत है और जो कानूनन सही था वो हुआ.
It's an eye-opener for Bharatiya Janata Party to not misuse, to not brutalize democracy, to not misuse state power, not be arrogant about money power, and to respect the mandate of the people and to respect democratic traditions, for those are the essence of India.
Now, the fact is that despite everything, cross-voting has also taken place against the BJP. At least one BJP MLA, Nalin Kutaria, ended up voting for the Congress. And of course, we had the JDU MLA, despite the whip, voting for the Congress.
Yeah, so that vindicates what I'm trying to say here and present that I think it is the Congress which is resorting to horse trading very clearly. I mean, there must have been an emotional turmoil that must have been caused to Nalinji, because it is not for the BJP flock to fall apart like this, especially when there are drastic ideological differences. BJP is not known to side with people in terms of saying that in case it is beneficial for us as a party. We only are in alliance with people wherein for the benefit of the country from a vision perspective, not from a momentarily pleasure perspective. So we need to see that there are a lot of facts that play in here. The fact that Nalinji cross-voted and came out in public, we are yet to ascertain whether he really cross-voted. Yes, he's definitely there and he's violating the code of conduct for the secrecy of the Ballot Act. However, I would still reserve my comments till such time that we get some concrete insights into what really went wrong.
But the Congress, in fact, has made those exact same allegations of horse trading against the BJP.
Congress is known to make allegations. Congress is known to faff their way through the system. Congress is not serious anymore. So when they say there are so many allegations and numerous allegations of horse trading and so on and so forth that have come in the force in the past few days from very senior functionaries in their party. However, they have not responded once to Dr. Shivakumar, their Bangalore minister's house raided with 300 plus crores in cash that was found there, while the MLAs of 44 MLAs of Congress, 43 MLAs of Congress lodged in a Bangalore resort, and a luxurious resort, by the way. So you know, I have my reservations on their allegations, and kind of funny, you know, they want to resort to allegations and without proof. However, they don't want to come up and speak to the people of India. When we question, hey, 300 crores have been found in your minister's house, what is it doing there? And the minister who's in charge of those 44, 43 MLAs lodged in that resort at that particular time. We have no idea what's going on. I think Congress is making fun of its own party, its own ideology, and they're absolutely resorting to desperate measures come desperate times.
Let's listen into some more reactions coming in on that story.
ये जीत मेरे उस विधायक साथियों की है जो ना डरे, जो ना बिके. उनके घर में बहुत सारी धन संपत्ति नहीं है, पर उसका ईमान चट्टान की तरह मजबूत है. ये मेरे कांग्रेस के विधायक साथियों की ये जीत है.
अहिंसावादियों की सबसे बड़ी जीत है. इसको हम लोकशाही की जीत कहते हैं. 44 वोट मिले हमको.
But what has been proved through all of this, the Congress has proved that the BJP's aims of a Congress Mukt Bharat is going to be more difficult than anticipated.
No, not really. I think Congress Mukt Bharat is almost there. BJP is with the Bhagwa flying across 74% India already, with 2 states which are poll bound, and I'm confident of saying that Himachal is something that we will win in the coming polls, and Gujarat is definitely our territory. So it is, you see, it is not about winning an election anymore. It is about ideology of the people of India. It is about representing the people of India. And when BJP represents the people of India, look, we make sense to the people of India now. We are showing them the difference between fake leadership and true leadership. People of India for last 65 years perhaps did not get an opportunity to completely see what really is fake leadership. and true leadership. And now is when Modi ji at the center and Amit Bhai's leadership at the party front, with 10 crore plus members in the party fold, I think it is absolutely the moment where we're trying to see the differences in the type of leadership that are there. And, I would go to an extent saying that BJP as a party is listening to people, enacting the voice of people at times of voice of people. And there is no struggle at all in having a quote-unquote Congress Mukht Bharat. Let's face the facts here.
Right, but despite the odds, Ahmad Patel has still managed to secure that crucial seat. Now, Ahmad Patel is returning to the Raj Sabha from Gujarat for a 5th term, winning the 3rd seat today in a bitterly fought election between the Congress and the BJP. Now, in a win aided by the Election Commission holding the votes of the two Congress rebels invalid for showing their ballot papers to the BJP's election agent, Ahmad Patel managed to get 44 votes. But ahead of the Gujarat Assembly elections that are due later this year, the party is likely to face multiple challenges as the Congress has been wrecked with rebellions in the run-up to the Raj Sabha polls, with possibly 1 to 3 MLAs in the safe group having ended up cross-voted. In fact, my colleague Ritangshu had earlier broken down those numbers for us. Let's take a look.
Let's start, obviously, as we've pointed out, initially the Congress had 57 MLAs till about a month. So then 6 people left. 3 of them joined the party. One of them even began the man who would almost unseat him from the Raj Sabha. From 57, 6 of them left. We came back to the next figure of 51. The votes didn't end there for the Congress because 7 other people, led by this man Shankar Singh Waghela, who turned out to be the fountain of the rebellion within the party, also decided to not vote for Ahmad Patel yet. 2 of them, however, ended up doing Ahmad Patel a world of good because Raghavji Patel and Bholabhai Gohel's disqualification of their votes meant that the target came down from 45 to 44. So far, so good, because the Congress still had 44 MLAs, which it had taken to Eagleton Resort for a resort. But one of them, Karan Singh Makwana, decided to cross-vote, bringing the number to 43. There again, the Congress finally got some much-needed boost because 3 unexpected quarters offered support. One was NCP MLA, who was the only MLA to actually abide by the party whip. The other was Chotubhai Wasawa, the only JDU MLA who defied his party whip to vote for Ahmad Patel. And then there was a rebel BJP MLA who decided to cross-vote, Naren Kotadia, bringing it up to an expected of 46. However, the result is 44, which means there are still 2 votes, MLAs, unaccounted. So were these two people from these 3, or were these 2 from the Congress's kitty who decided to cross-vote? Perhaps we'll not know.
Well, earlier Newsx had spoken to Ahmad Patel after his glorious win. Let's listen in to what he had to say.
What do you think has happened, sir, that from 57 the Congress is now down to, as per as what you have said, 43 plus a couple of others from outside?
We'll have to work hard. But our next target will be assembly elections.
Also joining us on this broadcast is Congress spokesperson Mohammad Khan. Thank you for joining us this morning. Now, Ahmad Patel has managed to clinch that seat, but the fact is he's just managed to scrape through. Even 1 vote less would have been 2 less.
Right. Well, first things first, I think we stand vindicated. Yesterday, I remember when I was on your channel and others, the question being asked of us is, why are you doing this? Why are you delaying the process? And we saw the BJP's desperation to try and stall our intervention in the process. And now I'm glad to say the result is before all of you. The other half of the debate yesterday was, this is a very, very significant election. Mr. Patel, if he doesn't win, it's a proxy loss for Ms. Sonia Gandhi. Mr. Patel's victory is a victory for all of us today. And I think it signifies the fact that no matter the amount of money power and muscle power you try and exert on any electoral system, the fact is the truth will prevail. In fact, 7 hours ago, Mr. Patel tweeted just these 2 words, Satyamev Jayate. That was it. And I think today's victory is a victory for our democratic institutions. The fact that the Election Commission would not be carved down despite 6 cabinet ministers descending on their offices for God knows what purpose. Repeated attempts by the state government to I don't know, get a particular decision. But in the end, the Election Commission did its job. It considered the application on merits. And as we kept saying, as we distilled our entire argument into 1 sentence, we said, just watch the video. The truth will prove itself. And that's what the Election Commission did. They saw the video, they saw that the 2 individuals who we had accused of showing their vote to Mr. Amit Shah had indeed done the same. Of course, this raises far graver questions about the fact as to why did he show it to Mr. Amit Shah, and does it lend credence to the allegations made by other MLAs that people on behalf of Mr. Amit Shah were approaching them to bribe them for this election. So that bears deeper investigation, and I'm sure as we get into the elections, that will also be borrowed. I think this is a personal loss for Mr. Amit Shah, who was trying very hard for his own version of a Congress Mukt Bharat. He has seen that there is a lot of fight left in the grand old party, and I'm sure he will see this in the Gujarat upcoming elections as well for the state assembly.
Coming to you, Mr. Aggarwal, yesterday we saw a lot of nervousness in both parties. We saw, the top leaders from both parties making a beeline to the election commission, P. Chidambaram, Anand Sharma, and also from the BJP, we had, all the top union ministers making a beeline to the election commission. Clearly a sign of nervousness.
The reason I'm smiling is because since last evening, we've been looked at as a nervous lot of people, where we have, as you said, and everyone's talking about it, that we were nervous, so we were trying to get in the high rollers to try and pressurize the election commission. What everyone is not seeing is that BJP is the ruling party. It controls the people, but it is not the time when Congress used to rule India. Let's face the fact here. The beauty of this is that while we are the ruling party, our agencies are independent. And since their independence is so highly respected, we can't be blamed or called as a nervous lot of people. We had the power vested in us by the people of India to have actually gotten this in our favor if we wanted. But we really didn't want to it.
That's what I say.
Yeah, let's face it. It's being pragmatic on the issue instead of seeing it as sign of nervousness, desperation, and whatever words you can say. With 43.5 votes, I won't even call it a victory. I would definitely call it a win, and congratulations is already in order. But I won't call it a victory. 46, perhaps, when you get 2 votes more than the desired number, yes, I may call it a thing. But if we look at it from my perspective, I've been wanting to speak to Ahmed Bhai and ask him in person if given an opportunity. And Mohammed Bhai, I will ask you this here. What made you just get 44? Why didn't you get 45, 46, 47? Why did you have to run to election commission to get your own MLAs? I mean, historical India, historical Asia, historical world. Your party ran to the election commission to get your own MLAs, disqualified. I mean, look at the desperation to get the magic number.
Gaurav, I get your question. So let me answer. First of all, you raised a couple of... sorry, Vaibhav. Vaibhav, I get your question. And the issue as I see it is, aapki shikayat to election commission se hona chahiye. Why did they entertain us then? I think we did the right thing by going to the election commission, as we stand vindicated today before you. Vaibhav, you made a very startling confession. You said that you could have gotten the result in your favor. I don't know how you could have. The result, the complaints that we made were about a violation.
There's a could in that. It's a given scenario we are constructing.
It's still it's a very dangerous statement to make.
No, absolutely. However, everyone...
But let me finish. Let me answer the question that you raised. Vaibhav, the fact is, we won despite everything thrown at us. And this is a very significant victory. Let me tell you something. In this election, every attempt was made by colleagues of your party leaders to try and subvert this election. We made our allegations in the public domain. No investigating agency came forward to investigate. Our leaders had the courage of their conviction and said, boss, ये लोग हमें approach कर रहे हैं, ये हमें 15 crore रुपए offer कर रहे हैं, आप action लीजिए. आप लोगों ने कोई action नहीं लिया. Officials were putting pressure on our people. We held press conferences naming and shaming those officials. Then we went away to Karnataka. You people tried to break our MLAs there as well. So therefore, we have always been extremely transparent about the kind of influence you've been bringing to bear on this election. And now your desperation was on rank display yesterday evening.
There was no desperation.
With 6 ministers descending on the election commission, सरकार तो पता नहीं कौन चला रहा है, मगर 6 के 6 वहां पहुंच गए, तो मुझे पता नहीं आप लोग किस चीज को प्राथमिकता देते. Clearly, it's not governance.
No, I think from where I'm looking at, I spoke to Vandana just before you joined us. I'm really curious to know, while you said what you just said, I'm really curious to know. We did not go ahead and do a press conference announcing that there is a problem with the Congress party and there is a horse trading that is going on in Bangalore resort, by your own sitting minister there, wherein...
No, you conducted a raid on it.
Allow me to do that.
Well, in fact,
proof of getting that
I
money was
request
there.
both of you to stay on with us. Remember, it was a nail-biting midnight drama in the Gujarat Raj Sabha elections between the Congress and the BJP. After a series of halts and confusions, the Election Commission then came up with a stern decision rejecting the votes of the two Congress rebel MLAs, Bhola Bhai Gohil and Raghav Bhai Patel, that costed the BJP its ambitious plan to clean sweep the Gujarat Raj Sabha elections and embarrass the Congress. Now, in the end, Congress's Ahmad Patel retained his Raj Sabha seat and emerged victorious for the 5th term. And it seems that the BJP perhaps will have to wait longer than expected for a Congress Mukt Bharat. Going back across to you, Mr. Khan, it was clear that a lot was at stake for the Congress. There was a lot of nervousness, all of that was evident. And the Congress, in fact, also had a sort of a defeatist attitude. It looked like they were not expecting the Election Commission to rule in their favor. With a lot of leaders tweeting already that before the Election Commission decision, that the EC was being influenced by union ministers, etc., etc.
Vandana, I had the privilege of being on your channel as well as several other channels yesterday for 5 hours. Our party line was consistent. I don't know about these people tweeting, but our party line was extremely consistent. We were clear that we had complete faith in the Election Commission. We had faith in the video. We kept telling you that if what we are saying is incorrect, just watch the video. It will take you 3 minutes. It can be resolved in a matter of moments. We said that these two people, one of them actually called into your channel. I was here at 6:30 yesterday, and Raghav Bhai Patel calls me. I think this was the most beautiful moment of my day yesterday. And he comes and your anchor, Neha, grilled him. She said, why did you leave? आप तो resort भी गए थे, ये भी था. And he starts giving these hollow principles की कहानी कि मुझे तो मोदी जी का ही नेतृत्व दिखता है, मेरी नजरों के सामने तो वही चमक रहे हैं आजकल. And then what he says is कि मैं तो जा रहा हूँ. And then Neha asked him, and rightly so, why, if you had such a problem on principle, why didn't you resign 2 months ago? Do the honorable thing. At least Waghela had the courage to walk out. Why didn't you walk out? नहीं जी, मुझे अपने career के बारे में भी देखना है. These are his exact words if you play the recording from yesterday. And it was a scathing indictment of the BJP's involvement. He named Modi ji. He said that he's trying to do this to save his 20-year career. He's moving to the BJP. And now it has been proven by the disqualification of his vote that he showed it to Mr. Amit Shah. So Vandana, if you put all these pieces together in this puzzle, who does it point to?
The entire video. So I have two
Vaibhav,
two
please.
news items that even I have from my sources.
Yeah.
The video that was leaked to the media was leaked by a Congress Karyakarta somewhere from Gujarat.
No,
now we are asking, we want to know that why was that particular clip only leaked? Now the entire video is still yet to come in the public domain. We want to see the entire video, and Shanti Bhai is absolutely clearly seen guiding the other party to say, please, if you're voting for this, then please go that side. So there is a lot of interpretation in between that is coming in. You know, so while our party is absolutely considering going legal on this, because we have the right to invoke the People's Act on this, but this is very strange that we are relying on only one camera video while there are 3 cameras there. So my understanding is that if there is a violation of the Secrecy of Ballot Act by two MLAs and they got disqualified, why isn't Nalin Kotadia's ballot not disqualified? Because he's violating the Secret Ballot Act as well.
That's a fair question. Let me just answer it in 3 sentences.
Sure,
the first sentence is, Vaibhav, the Election Commission took 5 hours because it was scrutinizing all of the video coverage, including of all the 3 cameras that you rightly spoke about. Secondly, these videos have been released in the public domain before. They're the property of the public at the end of the day.
No.
Right?
Not
No,
as
absolutely.
Yet.
No,
Not as yet.
Absolutely. See, I would always argue that secrecy in these cases, when the public interest is concerned, is trumped by transparency.
But the ECI
However,
is yet to
and the second answer to your question is, look, you watch it, you see it, there can be no binary, there can be no other interpretation other than fact कि आपने दिखाया या नहीं दिखाया. अगर दिखाया तो उल्लंघन है जिस रूल का आप बात कर रहे हो. अगर नहीं दिखाया तो they would have survived.
In fact, hold that thought. Also joining us live this morning is our colleague Vijay Lakshmi, who tracks the Congress party very closely. Vijay, what is the mood in the Congress today? There must be a sense of tremendous relief that the political prestige of Ahmad Patel has been saved.
That's right, tremendous relief as far as Congress party is concerned. Well, we understand how, how it was a prestige battle at the end of the day for Congress party, because it was none other than the, political secretary of Congress President Ahmad Patel who was fighting that particular election. So, well, we saw that how, Congress in fact went to Election Commission thrice. We saw that how the entire exercise to take all these legislators in Karnataka in a resort, and of course then coming back to Gujarat, and also and and they continued to be at a resort. So, well, of course, Congress did that entire exercise to ensure that Ahmad Patel wins that election, because a lot was on stake for Congress party, not only in terms of assembly elections, the upcoming assembly elections in the state of Gujarat, but of course, if Ahmad Patel would have lost that election, then it would have been a huge embarrassment for the Congress party, and of course may have demoralized the cadre of the Congress party at the end of the day. So, well, it was very crucial for Congress party to win this election, and we saw Mr. Ahmad Patel winning that election. He got 44 votes. He secured 44 votes. Well, we understand how the entire drama unfolded late last night, and it was post 1 a.m. In the morning that the results were announced late last night. So, well, it is a huge relief for Congress party. Had it not been this way, then of course party would have been in a very embarrassing situation today. And this also means, as many Congress leaders are saying, that it's not difficult for them to defeat, BJP, but they need to put their act together. They need to act unitedly. Only then Congress can defeat BJP. So that's what many senior leaders of Congress party are telling us, that's the lesson that Congress party needs to learn, because this time around, if you see the entire exercise, the way legislators were taken, the way, the entire, many things have been preempted by Congress party as far as this particular, episode is concerned.
Right,
the
the
way
Congress
they took
will
their
definitely
legislator
have
to
renewed
Gujarat
vigor
and
in their steps today. Thank you, Vijay Lakshmi, for getting us all those details. Also bringing in political analyst S.K. Datta, who joins us on the broadcast this morning. Mr. Datta, it's very rare for Raj Sabha elections to be watched so closely. And this time we had, it being tracked extremely closely. We had all the major leaders rushing to the election commission, back and forth. Both the teams ended up visiting the election commission thrice. What do you make of this?
I think first and foremost, my first comment would be it's a mockery of democracy. Like the way both the parties have behaved in this whole thing, just for a single seat. It ultimately, it seemed to me that it was a personal prestige issue, not only for Congress but also for BJP. I was on the way, I was looking in Twitter as well as in other social media, and I think the way the people across the globe are blasting both the parties, they have actually made sham out of democracy as such. And whatever happened in Gujarat is not so black and white like the way both the parties are projecting it. I would also question the leadership of Congress in relation to this. Ultimately, it is your senior leadership which is at fault for whatever has happened. Why do you have to take your MLAs, with the bag and baggages to Bengaluru, and then you fly them back to Gujarat, and this whole fiasco starts there? And why does the central leadership of BJP also has to campaign in Ahmedabad and here in Delhi? Let the election commission take its own decision. It's an independent body and it has every right to take cognizance of all the facts and then take in an independent decision. What I understand is the battle is still half won. It is yet to be won in a full-fledged way, because I understand that the ruling party, BJP, in every likelihood is going to take the legal course of action now, and they might go to the court. And if they go to the court, then it's quite obvious, at least until a final decision is taken in this whole matter, the whole thing would be kept at bay, So in that sense also, if things get suspended and if the voting itself gets suspended, the counting of votes till a final decision is taken, I think it becomes difficult for Ahmed Patel.
We'll have to hold that thought. We will be. High drama in Gujarat ended with Ahmed Patel winning the prestigious battle against the BJP as he retains his Raj Sabha seat for the 5th consecutive term. Now, as Sonia Gandhi's political advisor, Ahmed Patel, manages to win his seat by just a whisker, the intra-party tussle between the Congress's old guards and the new guards continue. On one hand, Rahul Gandhi wants to wrest control of the Congress party with his young Turks, while Sonia Gandhi prefers the veteran leaders to manage the communications and also to form election strategies. Rahul Gandhi's visit, remember, with the Chinese ambassador invited criticism from the BJP, leading to huge embarrassment for senior Congress leaders who had earlier denied any such meeting. Now it is for the Congress party to either draw clarity in communications and decision-making, or else the intra-party struggle may turn into a cold war between the Congress old guns and the young Turks.
काफी बड़ा था, काफी मेहनत करनी पड़ी। मैं सबका आभारी हूँ इसके लिए, जो चुनाव में विजय उसके लिए। पार्टी अपने तरीके से जो भी कार्रवाई करनी है करेगी। बिल्कुल राहुल जी के नेतृत्व में कांग्रेस मजबूत होकर बाहर आएगी और हम लोग चुनाव जीतेंगे।
कांग्रेस पार्टी स्पॉन्सर्ड कैंडिडेट अहमद पटेल ने 4,400 वोट लिया है, उसके खाते में है और उसको मैं डिक्लेयर इलेक्टेड करता हूं। दूसरा, बीजेपी स्पॉन्सर कैंडिडेट शाह अमित भाई अनिल चंद्र, उन्होंने 4,600 वोट पोल्ड किया है, उसको भी मैं डिक्लेयर इलेक्टेड करता हूं। तीसरी सीट के लिए बीजेपी स्पॉन्सर्ड श्रीमती स्मृति जुबीन ईरानी, उन्होंने भी 4,600 वोट पोल्ड किया है, उसको भी मैं डिक्लेयर इलेक्टेड करता हूं।
We're going to open up this up for discussion. Joining us on the broadcast is Mr. S.K. Datta, political analyst, Mohammad Khan, the Congress spokesperson, as well as Vaibhav Aggarwal of the BJP. Also joining us is Vijay Lakshmi Sharma, a correspondent who's been tracking the Congress party very closely. Over to you first, Vijay Lakshmi. Now the drama is not yet over because Vijay Rupani has already announced that the BJP is going to go to court over the decision of the Election Commission.
That's right. In fact, BJP has also got certain reservation, with the decision that Election Commission has taken. In fact, yesterday also, when all these leaders of BJP have gone there to meet Election Commission, they have put the argument forth that if Congress had any objection, then they should have objected at the time these votes were polled, and it shouldn't be raised later on. So that was the, argument that was given by BJP leadership, that once a vote has been given, then nobody can declare it to be an invalid vote, and if somebody had some objections to it, then they should have raised it then only. So, well, that was the argument that was given by BJP, and all these senior leaders, in fact, some of the senior ministers, cabinet ministers also went to Election Commission. We saw that how Election Commission, took good 4 to 5 hours time period to declare its decision, and Election Commission decided to disqualify these two votes, or to decided to declare them invalid votes. But of course, BJP still is saying that they are ready to fight a legal battle, and they'll soon be approaching the court on this particular issue. But of course, as far as Congress party is concerned, they're saying that even Randeep Singh Surjewala's, in fact, two incidents in the past have been cited by P. Chidambaram when he met the Election Commission. One was an incident of an election, Raj Sabha election in 2000, and the other one was a 2016 Raj Sabha election in the state of Haryana, where Randeep Singh Surjewala had shown his vote to party CLP leader in the state of Haryana, Kiran Chaudhary, who was not the authorized, person of Congress party. Hence, his vote was declared invalid by Election Commission in 2016. So these were the two incidents that Congress did cite while arguing for its case, and Election Commission did find some reason in that, and of course that's why Election Commission took that decision. That's what Congress party argues. So, well, now BJP is saying that that shouldn't be, now BJP is saying that Election Commission hasn't done justice in this case, and they will soon be approaching the court on this particular issue. So, well, let's see what happens if they actually plan to move to the courts. When will they be doing so? That really remains to be seen.
Right, stay on with us, Vijay Lakshmi. I'm going to put that same question to Mr. Aggarwal here of the BJP. Now, the drama is far from over, despite the fact that the Election Commission has clearly ruled that what those two Congress MLAs did was invalid. The BJP is still going to court. Why?
We are yet to, yes, while Chief Minister Vijay Rupani has come up and given a clarification and statement last night, we are absolutely mulling on going to the court, but not because, you see, you have to understand why we want to go to the court. We want to bring it forth for the people, and we don't want to go to court because our candidate, our nominee got rejected. We want to go to the court because there was a sheer abuse of the entire process that took place to elect a public representative from one house to another. Now, I think we need to, and people in India today have grown to that level of maturity where they are seeing how the turn of events are. No matter who says what to us, we want to perhaps go to the court to show it to people that, look, A, we have faith in our judiciary. B, we want to always stand with people not for a win, but for the India's win. And it is the people's representative that come in Raj Sabha, who would need to be absolutely transparent with the process of election that they take place.
So you're saying you have faith in the judiciary, but
Absolutely.
not in the election commission?
We have faith in the election commission as well, but it's human to make errors. And if there is an erroneous judgment, I think we should challenge it.
Speaking of going to court, Mr. Khan, we were told by Congress sources that the Congress, in fact, was planning last night, in case the EC had not ruled in their favor, to also approach the Supreme Court.
In an election petition. I want to address something that my brother and colleague Vaibhav has just said. First of all, when you say that you are questioning the decision, then you can't say that you have faith in the election commission. It's one or the other. It's not. It's not binary.
It's not about
let me finish because
human error.
So what I'm saying is, when the election commission has given a decision, and it has given a decision based on a very simple set of facts, and it has disqualified you under a set of rules, you, being the government in power, should lead by example and say, "Achha hua. अगर कोई कानून का उल्लंघन कर रहा है उसे फायर करो." And these are not even your MLAs, भाई. ये तो कांग्रेस के MLAs हैं. Suddenly you have a newfound love for them. And come on, Vaibhav. Nobody is, कोई इतना मासूम नहीं है, nobody is naive enough to believe that your motivations in this are purely altruistic to save those two poor MLAs from voting their conscience.
Absolutely, because it's nation first,
we know that
party
in your
second and self last.
Absolutely.
So I have no qualms about saying
I'm sure by 2019 you'll be
I
able to
also
find
want to
two
bring
people to
in
believe that.
Mr. S.K. Datta. How did Rajya Sabha elections become so bitter? We have both parties going to the election commission, now them talking about going to court.
Let me come to the role of election commission first. First and foremost, I'm a little skeptic the way things were handled by the election commission. Skepticism doesn't mean that I'm questioning the decision of election commission as such, but one can always be skeptic about decisions. There were 3 videos, and I think cognizance of all the 3 videos should be taken into account by the election commission. Second thing is, like, when you have such a political, chaotic kind of a situation, you need to take a decision instantly. Why were you sitting like a hen for 5-6 hours over the
because
voting?
Delegations were constantly
Delegations were going and going, of course, but election commission could have ruled it that we will just meet one delegation from both the parties and we will take our decision. When you sit over things and when you allow more and more people to come over and all, more and more skepticism arises, and it's quite obvious that today eyebrows are being raised. Eyebrows not only by the political parties, but also by the common masses. And I guess the nation is entitled.
From a common mass perspective,
yes,
you have a point.
Yes.
But from a common mass perspective, I would like to give you a thought that if you can analyze that too, that I think it is the democratic process to do consultations. And if there are an election commission or the election commissioner per se is a public office, and if there are public consultations that is done with the public representatives, I don't see any harm in that.
No,
I think
no.
think by not meeting again and again, by not considering the subsequent presentations made by the groups involved, both the parties involved, I think election commission would have definitely tried to circumvent the process, and that is where my trust in the system comes in, where my system, I know, as an agency is running independent, and I think you should be able to analyze that, and I think it is a democratic way to do public discussion on the entire bit, and if there are multiple presentations, then let's hear them out.
No, absolutely. What I'm trying to say out here is, like, you could have taken in a mature decision in a much more faster way. Instead of
no, it can't be faster because the process of democracy has to be consultation.
Instead of going it so long.
The answer to your question, Datta Sahab, is in the question itself actually. Aapne bilkul sahi kaha, 3 videos, right? Now, it took them 5 hours. We were here till 11 at night trying to analyze this. 5 घंटे इसलिए लगे Datta Sahab because they were watching all the videos.
2.5 hours of voting time and multiplied by 3 is that is time that you take.
So he's the mathematician, he's giving you the right number.
That's the idea.
I think in fact it's the actions of the BJP and Congress that should be questioned, and not the election.
And when they were watching the video,
in fact, I request all of you to stay on with us. Congress leader Ahmad Patel, remember, is returning to the Rajya Sabha from Gujarat for a 5th term, winning the 3rd seat in a bitterly fought election between the Congress and the BJP. In a win aided by the Election Commission holding the votes of 2 Congress rebel MLAs as invalid for showing their ballot papers to the BJP's election agent, Ahmad Patel managed to get 44 votes. But ahead of the Gujarat Assembly elections that are due later this year, the party is likely to face multiple challenges as the Congress has been wrecked with rebellions in the run-up to the Raj Sabha polls, with possibly 1 to 3 MLAs in the safe group having ended up cross-voting. And going across to my colleague Vijay Lakshmi Sharma, who's been tracking all those developments for us. Vijay, now what happens to those two Congress MLAs who ended up cross-voting? What is the Congress saying about a possible action against them?
Disqualified under the 10th schedule.
In fact, Mr. Ahmad Patel himself has spoken on this particular issue. He said that strong action will be taken against these two legislators. Now, I want to come back on the election commission part. You know, the same Congress party has been alleging just a few months ago that election commission was biased, and now even BJP is indulging in that sort of blame game. So it seems sheer opportunism on the part of political parties. When BJP was in opposition, they also held certain reservations in terms of EVMs and of course the election commission. And when Congress party came in opposition, they also started reiterating what BJP was saying when they were in opposition. So I find sheer opportunism on the part of political parties when it comes about these sort of constitutional bodies or autonomous bodies in our country, because on social media, if one goes on social media, one can really see that how the common people really feel that the political parties act really don't care whether these bodies are actually acting in an autonomous manner or not. It only depends whether they are with them or whether they have endorsed something that a political party was looking forward for. So well, now going back to Gujarat, you rightly said the crucial assembly elections are due by the end of this year, and this victory means a lot as in terms of moral boost of Congress cadre at the ground. But Congress party has been in opposition in the state of Gujarat since last so many years, and that too when they have got such a senior leader, Mr. Ahmad Patel, who used to be number 2. People used to say that he was the de facto president when Congress was in power. Despite all that, we've not seen Congress coming in power in the state of Gujarat. So well, now also this time around, it really remains to be seen. There is a lot of infight. There are so many camps in the state of Gujarat as far as Congress party is concerned. Shankar Singh Waghela has already quit the party. So well, it really remains to be seen whether Congress party will be able to get its act together before the assembly elections. Well, we've seen that because it was because Mr. Ahmad Patel himself was the candidate. We saw that how Congress party did try to ensure that they don't lose this particular election. Had he lost the election, then in terms of moral, not only it would have been an embarrassment for the party, but of course it would demoralize party's cadre at the grassroots level, because if you just can't ensure the victory of your number 2 man.
Right, Vijay Lakshmi, the Congress is definitely in one of the worst shapes it has been since independence, but at the same time they proved that they want to put up a tough fight. Thank you for joining us this morning, Vijay Lakshmi, as well as all my panelists. We'll move on.